Yeah, Carlin turns on the TV, Christian flips off the screen, cause there's no good children's shows that he's seen. We've got dogs with blogs, superheroes in the ER. All dads are dumb and kids have better PR. Carlin just smile, Christian sits with the scowl. He complains to his son, all the kids shows suck now. They sit and discuss the show's plus and minuses while you listen or watch on YouTube to the arguments. Who is right? Is it the son or the dad? Either way you get to laugh knowing Christian is mad. So pull up a chair, get the corner poppin'. Here's a new episode of What Are We Watching?
Hey everyone, thank you for joining us for the latest episode of the What Are We Watching podcast, where I watch kid shows with my son Carlin, and he tries to explain to me why these shows are good.
They are.
And then I try to explain to him why they are horrid.
Don't listen to him.
And then we bring that conversation to you. Now, every other week we come out with a mini episode that's audio based, and we tell you what show we're going to be watching, and we try to give them links to the show, right? So that they can watch it, so that you, dear viewer or listener, can watch the show online. And we try to find a free link if we can on YouTube or Daily Motion or Nickelodeon or Disney. But if there's not a free link, we try to let you know where you can find it on Amazon or iTunes. You only have to pay $1 or $2 to watch the show if you don't already have it on cable. And then you join us for the podcast. And when you comment on YouTube or at whatarewewatching.com, we like to give away
gift cards
and free things. We've given away Matchbox cards. We've given away gift cards for Amazon, iTunes, or Nintendo DS. So you can actually buy something that's worth watching, not this garbage. All right. So
it's not garbage.
So we always come out with our podcast every Wednesday. This week, it might be about a day late because Carlin and his mom and brothers and sisters have been out of town. What did you all do this weekend, Carlin?
We went to Manassas, and my aunt brought me to the store. And she gave us a budget of $50, and I bought some Legos and a 3DS game.
At Toys R Us?
Yes, at Toys R Us.
When he says the store, he means the store. Toys R Us. So yes, his aunt gave them a bunch of money, and Mia came home with an interactive Yoda, and Carlin came home with video games and Legos, which I'm going to steal all of when he's sleeping one night.
What?
So, what show did we watch this week, Carlin?
I didn't do it.
No, what show did we watch this week?
I didn't do it.
You didn't do what? We're talking about the show now. What show
did we
watch?
That's the name of the show. I didn't do it.
Okay, we watched the show I Didn't Do It. And I actually usually have the episode and season number in front of me, but I don't have it. It's season 116.
Episode 17.
16, 17, somewhere around there. It'll be in the information from the mini episode. But the episode was called Lindylicious. One of the main characters is named Lindy, and the episode, frightfully revolves around her. Okay, why don't you sum up what this episode of I Didn't Do It was about, Carlin?
So, this girl named Lindy, my dad explained it, and she's making this smoothie to win a contest so she can sell her smoothie. And she wins. And she's really happy, and her friends are too. And then...
Well, only one of her friends was... I don't know if any of her friends were happy. One of her best friends was jealous because she wanted to win the smoothie competition. But when they won the smoothie competition, she didn't get to sell the smoothie. It just meant that a smoothie with her name on it was going to get sold at the smoothie counter.
Yes.
That they went to. Okay, so that was what we would call the A story.
Yes.
Right? And what was the B story?
I think the B story was with one of the guys trying to find out if the popcorn was fake or something.
Yeah, if the popcorn was real. They went to a movie theater, and he was determined to prove that the popcorn that they sold at the movie theater was dirty, used popcorn. Not dirty, but old used popcorn. And that they pop one fresh batch at the beginning of the day for people to smell. And then the rest of the day they sell old popcorn. And if you've ever been to a movie theater late at night, you think that they do sell old popcorn.
That kind of wants me to look for it.
Makes you want to look for it?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Carlin doesn't know anything about movie popcorn because his dad's too cheap to buy any. Because we buy our stuff at Dollar Tree first.
Oh, yeah, and then we sneak it in.
Oh, we never do that. No, we would never. I'm going to break my head nodding and shaking. All right, so the A story is Lindy trying to get her smoothie on the smoothie menu and defeating her friends. And then the B story is the popcorn. This guy, they also said that this guy that wanted to prove the popcorn was fake had gone to a girl's lemonade stand and started tearing the place apart because she had lemons on the table, but he saw lemonade powder in the pitcher. So he realized she was making...
It was a 5-year-old girl.
A 5-year-old
little
girl.
5-year-old girl.
He destroyed her 5-year-old lemonade stand when he determined she was making fake lemonade. Okay, so let's go through our What Are We Watching board, our checklist. Okay?
Yes.
And there are always 3 things on our checklist. Was there a laugh track?
I think there was.
Yeah. I know that we listen every week to see if there's a laugh track. I hated watching this show so much that I didn't even notice. So I have to take your word on it because I forgot to write it down. So there was a laugh track?
Yes.
I forgot to notice if there was a laugh track.
Yes.
Because it drove me so nuts. So I guess it gets a ding on the board. Okay. Were the kids pretty much alone the entire show to do whatever they wanted?
Yes, the kids were pretty much alone.
I'm trying to determine if we ever saw an adult ever in this episode. Did we? I don't think there was one adult.
No, I don't think so.
I'm not sure they were in school this episode. They were in the coffee house or cafe. They were in the movie theater. No, they were at a school because they were talking about Lindy going on a date. We'll get to that in a minute. But I don't think there was one adult in the whole show.
Yeah, I don't think
Even
so.
the guy working at the movie theater was a kid. Okay, so another ding on the board. And, well, I guess this one just doesn't get a ding. Were the adults all idiots? There were no adults.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say they probably are because they let these kids do whatever they want to do all the time. So, 2 dings on the board and 1 in A. It didn't matter. Okay, what did you generally like about this show? If we were just going to give it an overview of your kind of favorite things of the show, what did it hit on that you loved?
That Logan was so lazy and stuff.
Blonde kid. We didn't know their names at first. We just kept calling them blonde kid, brown-haired kid.
Yeah, I did black-haired girl, blonde guy, blonde girl.
Glasses. Yeah, there was blonde girl, glasses, and brunette girl. Yeah, okay, so, and glasses girl was the smart aleck kid that was smarter than everybody and always getting in, was always proving how smart she was. It's always the one with the glasses that they make the smart aleck kid. The blonde girl was the dumb girl, and the other girl was just there to fill in the blanks.
Oh, and Logan, when he was trying to sneak a report that somebody else did, and he accidentally put lipstick instead of chapstick.
No, he did it on purpose because he was trying to prove that he... we'll get to it in a second. Okay, so it opens up with the cafe. Lindy has won the contest right away. So the Lindylicious is on the menu. It's the title of the episode, and she gets her smoothie on the menu. And then the guy that works at the smoothie counter might have had what we call an ulterior motive, another reason to make Lindy win. Why did he maybe want Lindy to win the smoothie competition?
'Cause he liked her?
Because he liked her and he wanted to go out on a
Date.
All right, so now normally I try to just pick kids' movies for the podcast, but you kind of can't get away from high school age shows in the Disney Nickelodeon realm, and I'm usually fine with that as long as they, aren't hanging out of their clothes and everything. They're not in this one. They're all dressed really appropriately. It's ridiculously dumb humor, but there's some stuff about dating in it and stuff like that. No big deal. Fine for kids, I think, even younger. So I thought this show was definitely good that way. It won't get negative points at the end of this episode for
Yay.
that. For that.
Oh.
There's plenty of
okay.
other reasons. Okay,
Oh, dear.
so she gets her Lindylicious on the menu, and then, she gets asked out on a date with the guy, and he says yes. Or he asked her on a date, and she says yes. Okay, the other thing is dumb guy, what's his name, Logan?
Yeah.
They're having to read the Odyssey. There's kind of like a little bit of a sea story in this episode. He has to read the Odyssey for school, which is a big book. It's a story written by a Greek guy long time ago. You'll have to read it one day for school. And he didn't want to read it because he's lazy, and he couldn't read one page without falling asleep and stuff. So let's just hit the sea story real quick, what you were talking about earlier. What does Logan try to do because of that book report?
He tries to look at somebody else's book report.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't try to look at it. He tries to steal it out of her bag and gets caught. And then she says, what are you doing? And he said, I needed some chapstick, and pulled out her lipstick. And then she said, well, prove it that you wanted lipstick. And he, puts it on and looks goofy. And you loved that.
Yes.
That was your favorite part of the show?
Yes.
Okay. And then we're skipping around, but we'll just cover this for the sea story. At the end of the movie, at the end of the show, they go to a movie, and she tells him that he's watching the movie version of the Odyssey, when really it's just something completely different just about a Greek guy, and it's about baklava, which is a Greek dessert. Okay. Oh man, there's a D story too. The other girl, the third girl, she decided she likes the guy at the movie theater just because he's
wearing a tuxedo.
And he goes to her school, and she never noticed him before, but she all of a sudden likes him, and they call that what?
The tuxedo effect.
The tuxedo effect. Like when a girl sees a guy in a suit and decides, oh, that is suave. It's like when you see James Bond in a suit and you're like, oh, that's tight, man. So all of a sudden she likes this guy, but when he's not in the tuxedo, she's not interested. And then he sees her without heels, and he is not interested.
Nope.
So that's the D story, that people are superficial. And of course, Logan wears a tuxedo to deliver his book report on the fake movie that's not based on the book, and ends up getting an A because of the
tuxedo effect.
All right. That, at least, I kind of thought that was kind of funny. It shows how shallow kids can be. Honestly, adults too. Trust me, kids. It shows how shallow kids and adults can be. And the tuxedo effect getting him a good grade. It was funny. I will get back to that moral at the end when we do our rating. All right. The A story. Lindylicious gets her smoothie on the smoothie menu.
Yes.
And what good does that do her other than bragging rights? Is there anything?
No, not really.
So then she goes on a date with a guy and realizes it's a date and that she doesn't want to go on a date. So she says, I'm just going to tell him that I didn't want to date him. Now, here's where stuff starts to bother me. What did Glasses say to her?
Glasses said, well, if you don't really want to, then why don't you let us come with you and we can be there?
Yeah, she said, don't tell him. She said first, oh, you can't tell him.
Yeah.
So don't be honest with the guy. And then she said, we'll go with you on the date.
Yes.
So basically, we'll lie and ruin your date with this guy instead of just being honest, just saying, oh, dude, I didn't want to go on a date with you. I just wanted to, hang out with the movie. Which would have been awesome and a great lesson for people, right?
Yes.
Be honest. So they go on the date, they ruin it, and of course the guy that works at the smoothie bar ends up being a jerk because he feels taken advantage of, go figure, and had his night and plans ruined when obviously he wanted to go on a date. It would have just been easier to say, no thanks.
Yeah.
Always tell the
truth.
Truth. Oh my gosh. You had brain freeze on that for a moment. It's
Yeah.
literally the number one rule in our house. Oh my goodness. What are the rules of our house, by the way?
Be kind to others, always tell the truth, do your best, and never give up.
Right. Well, be kind to others, I guess, is the first rule of the house, but tell the truth is kind of the biggest one. Okay. So, one of the funny things I did think, the first movie they were there to see when they found out about the popcorn or when the guys started going nuts was called Brain Chompers 4. I thought that was a really good name for a possible horror movie, a zombie movie, Brain Chompers 4. Because there are always more brains that need to be chomped. I think the brains in these kids had already been chomped, though, because they did some dumb things. All right, so here's something else I found funny about Lindy Licious' date and thing. She didn't realize that the guy wanted to ask her out on a date. Okay.
Yeah,
first. She didn't realize he was asking her on a date. She just thought, I thought we were going to a movie as friends.
Yeah.
Right? The prettiest girl in the show, and I assume the prettiest girl in the school, didn't know how dates worked. That's ridiculous. That's dumber than every other storyline of the show is that the prettiest girl in school had never really been asked out on a date and didn't know how dates work. I found that to be ludicrous. They should have called the episode Ludicrous Lindy instead of Lindy Licious because that's nuts. Pretty girls know that they're going to get asked on a date. Okay, the idiot guy that couldn't read the book, we already talked about that. He did daydream while reading that book. After one page, he daydreamed.
Yes.
And
I remember what happened.
There was something else you loved, and I'll let you talk to the audience about it.
So he imagined he was at the nice beach rubbing cream on his face, and then he accidentally rubbed guacamole on his face, and then he was like, I'm too lazy to go get a napkin or a paper towel, so he just stuck the chip on his face and ate it.
And did like he was shaving. Shik. And ate it. And you loved that.
Yes, I love that part.
He ate the guacamole and CJ ate it up. Okay. So so what did we find out about the B story with the popcorn? What ended up happening with the popcorn? Was he right about the popcorn? Was he right to be suspicious?
Yes, he was right.
He was right. He pretended to work in the theater and got away with it because of the
popcorn that fell out of the tuxedo effect.
He wore a tuxedo to the theater and they just assumed he worked there. He even claimed to be the manager. And they believed him because of the
tuxedo effect.
The tuxedo effect was kind of funny. I'll give him that. And
then at the end, the heel effect.
The heel effect. But he discovered that they did, in fact, have tons of popcorn that was old and they were selling it to people.
Yes.
Yes. And then he started to question whether the butter was real. And trust me, it's not. Okay. So the guy, of course, after the date was ruined, he took Lindy Licious off the menu.
Yes.
A vindictive move. Sure. But she ruined his date and wasn't honest with him. So I'm giving it to the guy who was a jerk. And the guy tries to steal the report card. We kind of hit on that. So obviously, all of the people in this show were kind of obnoxious.
Yeah.
Lindy lied to her date.
Yeah.
Glasses convinced her to, and she was jealous that she didn't win the competition. The other girl only liked a guy for his looks.
Tuxedo effect.
Yeah, his looks. And he ended up not only liking her when she was in heels, which was the what?
The heel effect.
So the three girls, all bad. The one kid, the dumb kid, wouldn't read a book and then lied about his book report and tried to steal the book report.
Yes.
And then the fifth guy, the other main character.
Popcorn guy?
Yeah, actually, I don't think he did anything bad. He proved his point. He wasn't just suspicious for no reason. He proved they had bad... Yes, he snuck into the theater with the tuxedo.
And told them that he was the manager.
Okay.
But towards the end, the guy said, "Just stay in your seats and enjoy the show. Keep your phones off."
Yeah.
With the tuxedo effect, he said, just do something already. He knew he wasn't the manager.
Yeah, he knew he wasn't the manager, but he wanted him to clean up the mess so he didn't have to when they spilled popcorn.
Yes.
All over the place. Okay. He proved that the popcorn was fake, and then nobody else cared.
Yep.
To a man or to a kid, not one person on that show cared about the popcorn.
Because nobody's a nerd like him.
Now you're name calling people nerds.
Sorry.
But he was right. He was a detective. I will give him that. That's the only kid I'm rooting for in this show. And he's going to be the only reason they get points. Okay, I would say the moral of the story on this show is lie and treat your friends and dates poorly. Steal book reports, and if you can't lie, and only like people for what they wear, and you will do well in life. The moral of this show is the idiots win. I mean, they all won. The only guy that didn't win is the popcorn guy that proved somebody else was lying, and he had to clean up the popcorn mess.
Yep.
So the moral of I Didn't Do It is idiots win. That's the moral of the show. I know this isn't a show you watch. It's a show you've probably seen me watch sometimes, but it's not really appropriate for kids. But the show is called Seinfeld, and it's about 4 friends that live in New York City, and they're all bad people. I mean, they're nice sometimes, but generally they're all bad people, and they usually get away with it, even though they're bad. And I feel like I Didn't Do It, that the writers are really trying to come up with a teen version of Seinfeld. I know that might be a stretch, and a lot of these kid shows are very similar. Kids doing dumb things and then kind of getting away with it. And I don't need a moral at the end of the show to tie it all together. I don't need Little House on the Prairie, or I don't know what show to compare it to for you, because they don't have any good shows like that for kids anymore. But, you know, like Full House, where the dad comes in and he's like, well, Michelle, you really shouldn't do this, and this is why. You're right, Dad. I'll never do it again. Dling. You know, we learned something. Sing, do, now you know. And, you know, I don't need a great moral at the end of every story, but I find that a lot of these newer kid shows, like, all of them end with, and they were all horrible and got away with it. And I know there are shows that have been doing that for years. I Love Lucy. She did dumb stuff and got away with it. The Honeymooners. These are shows you wouldn't know. These are ancient shows that were on before I was born. You know, Three's Company was perfect. Everybody was always doing stupid stuff, and they got away with it. But I kind of feel like they're going with the Seinfeld model of everybody's a little bit horrible, but they're not going to learn a lesson at all. Maybe with kid shows it would be okay if there was, I don't know, a fraction of a lesson in one of them. How would you rate this show?
I would rate it 9. I really like this show.
1 out of 10, 10 being the best. You rate it the same as you rate Kicking It and Lab Rats and all of those shows. You rate it a 9.
Because I love all of these shows.
I know you love all these shows, but do you like it as much as Lab Rats or Thundermans?
No. I'd put that like 3rd.
Okay, so we probably let's adjust your rating system. I don't want to tell you to rate something lower than you want to rate it, but you know, if everything's a 9, then you might as well say everything's a 10. So can we at least call it an 8 for you? Like it doesn't really rate up with, well, Thunderman's like a 10, Lab Rat's a 9. So this would rate like an 8 for you, a solid 8.
Yeah, 8.
It's not Phineas and Ferb. That's like a 15. That's an off the scales. Okay, so this show for me, I have rated other shows negative 3,000. I think I rated one show a negative 30,000 once. Out of a 1 to 10, I'm going to try to give this an actual rating. There were no adults. That drives me crazy. Not once. Not even just to walk in and go, hey, you kids are acting like idiots. As a dad, I need people to hear that sometimes. I know I say that to you and your brothers and sisters. Hey, quit being idiots. I just wanted that once in this show. That bothers me. That's down a level. The kids are all obnoxious.
Yes.
But I'm going to give it to the one kid that was trying to, I mean, he was crazy and ridiculous, and I'm sure every other episode he's a moron. But I'm going to give a couple points to the kid trying to prove the popcorn was fake, and at least that they landed a couple of jokes with the tuxedo effect thing. That kind of won me over towards the end. It was ridiculous and cheesy, but I'm going to give it, and this is actually a decent score, I'm going to give it a 2 out of 10.
Okay.
Because it's not a negative number.
Okay. Deal.
All right. As always, thank you for watching or listening to the What Are We Watching podcast. You can find us on Libsyn, on whatarewewatching.com, on YouTube, and I promise this month in March, you will be finding us on iTunes. We were trying to get 10 episodes together before we went to iTunes because we wanted a nice big level before we went there. And then we just got a little bit behind with publishing all the other stuff, like our other projects at plaiddadblog.com, screamingdads.com, my podcast for dads, by dads, and our new website, which is dadsews.com, where I'm learning to sew, but only on camera. If the camera's off, I'm not sewing. So everybody sees my fails as well as my wins. And really, there haven't been too many wins, have there?
No.
It's mostly been fails. Carlin got to help me in a shot-for-shot remake of the movie, which is inappropriate for kids, called Office Space, where they destroy a fax machine. So parents, after this, you can go watch that at dadsews.com, and we destroy a sewing machine with a baseball bat, just like they do in Office Space. That was a lot of fun. Thank you for listening. Leave a comment below and subscribe on YouTube. If you leave a comment anywhere you find this podcast, you can and probably will win a prize. We have gift cards to give away, and you can earn money to watch a decent show better than I Didn't Do It. All right, Carlin, anything you want to say to the people that are watching?
Yes. That this show could have been rated better.
By me?
Yes, by my dad.
All right. Thank you for watching or listening to the podcast. And we will see you next week with a mini episode telling you what we're going to watch on our next full episode. We will see and talk to you later. Goodbye.
Bye.
This production is brought to you by the Plaid Dad Blog Podcast Network. For more information, visit plaiddadblog.com.